Dudes. Well, we got there in the end. We couldn't go live in the event page for 7 steps for LinkedIn influence. Something to do with the company page and the personal profile. But we're here on my personal profile. I've just dropped a message in the event with the link to, well, yeah, here. If you're listening to this, you're here, aren't you? Well, I want to see the numbers go up a little bit. I hope that it's notified people on the event page. Just having a look here. Just drop in the comments. Let me know if you managed to get the message or not from the event page. I want to make sure that everyone we've got here is able to join us. I'll have a quick look at my phone, make sure I'm not missing things here. Because I will definitely make sure that we get everyone invited because people have registered in advance. Okay, let's have a look at the comments on here. Oh, okay, we've still got a few more notifications here. I see them starting to come through. Oh, thanks, Karen. First ones are through. I can see more people here on my phone. Anybody else got the message? Just bear with us. Just give us let's just give them a couple of minutes before we get cracking. Recommend this post to everyone. Drop in the comments. Let me know if you're there, because the sooner we can make sure the message is out there, sooner we can get cracking with the content. I'm just trying to notify everybody in the event page here. Oh, it's already been recommended. Okay. And I've got attendee registrations here. Okay, you did as well, Carol. Okay, well, that's a good sign, isn't it? Thanks for being here, guys. As people are tuning in and joining the call, do drop in and introduce yourself in the comments. The good thing is that because I'm doing this from a personal profile, we will have a bit more flexibility with a time frame. There we go. We've got a few people jumping in the comments. Hussein was waiting for it. Maybe sitting by the computer waiting all day. This is fantastic. Susie, hello. The emojis happening. Welcome, guys. 7 steps to LinkedIn influence. One of my favorite topics to talk about, the big LinkedIn. I'm going to go through these 7 steps with you, and I'm going to share some slides while I do that. Before I do, though, I want to give some context, and maybe that'll just give us some time for the rest of the people to join the call. The world changed. It changed when social media was introduced. I think we can all agree. It got to a point where it's kind of, you couldn't disagree that social media was going to be a pretty big deal. And now what's happened in the last year, as you all know, it's become 3 times more important for businesses to adopt, digital technology. And, it might seem like this is obvious to some people, but there are a lot of businesses and a lot of individuals that haven't embraced social media yet, which is important for a couple of reasons. It means that the competition is still relatively low. Like it's going to get a lot harder than it is today. It'll never be as good as it is today. And it also means that not all of your customers are going to be active on social media just yet, depending on what audience you have. The good thing about LinkedIn is because it's a B2B platform, there's decision makers that are using it actually to find the right information to be able to use LinkedIn's. Use LinkedIn to make more informed buying decisions. So if that's where they're going to research, the companies that they use as suppliers, service providers, products that they're going to use, and things like that, then obviously it makes sense to communicate to them on the platform and move them through the customer journey. Hey guys, thanks so much for being here. We've got a bit of an international audience rocking today. Thanks so much for being here, guys. Let me know. I'm just sharing my screen here with you. You guys are going to get a lot out of today. I'm actually very excited to be going through what we're about to go through. Let me share my screen. You should be able to see planet Earth. I wonder if I go back here. Oh yeah, that works. So you can still see me as well. All right, cool. I'm just alt-tabbing between windows here. The world has changed, ladies and gentlemen. This is my commitment to you. If you spend the next hour and a bit, we're going to probably take a little bit longer than an hour with me, you will leave here with the knowledge and skills to implement an effective LinkedIn content strategy. This is about content that generates leads immediately and will build the best version of your personal brand. Now, in order for me to do this, there's a couple of things that I'm going to need you guys to do. First of all, I want you to participate and engage, like be in the comments. Let me know as we're going through if you're finding it valuable, if you have any questions. Let people know why you're here, what your intentions are, and get social. So share the LinkedIn Live with your network. You're adding value to your network, sharing with them what you're participating in, and start getting active in the conversation. Let people know why you're here. I think with social media, I should say, in general, there's a misunderstanding with a lot of businesses that you can use social media to advertise your business or distribute content and expect to then get clients or sales from it. And don't get me wrong, like it does generate a lot of sales revenue, but there's a couple of steps in between that a lot of businesses are forgetting about. Social media creates conversations. And conversations create relationships. And if your business is half decent at what it does, relationships should create sales revenue. But that conversation bit in the middle is absolutely imperative. You can't build a relationship with somebody if you're just trying to extract value from them. And so what I want you to get in the mindset of today is, instead of thinking, how do I extract value out of LinkedIn? Get in the mindset of, how do I dump value into LinkedIn? Because I'll tell you this, the guys that are doing exceptionally well with LinkedIn content are the guys that are dumping value into the platform. They're dumping more value into the platform than they are extracting from the platform. So let me know in the comments if I can get your commitment to participate and engage while we go through this free training, which I'm excited to share with you. It's something that I normally do with corporate clients, and I wanted to do it with you guys on LinkedIn. So if those of you that haven't come across myself before, my name is Nathaniel. By all means, come and connect with me on LinkedIn. I've grown 70,000 followers across my social profiles. That number's closer to 90,000 now. Increased my conversion rate by 5 times through content marketing specifically. My sales cycle has been cut in half, right? So I can feel like I can get a meeting with almost anybody. So I've got a podcast now, and I've had number of celebrity entrepreneurs on. I don't say that to boast, but just sharing with you, like, when you do become a thought leader, it opens so many doors, and you can access some of the people that, like, I definitely wouldn't be able to access some of the people that I've interviewed without building my brand as a thought leader and building trust with my audience. My LinkedIn marketing agency I started 10 years ago so far has generated over $400 million for our clients, and we've signed up big companies like Apple. At the Social Media Marketing Awards in Sydney. So it's an Australian-based awards, but it does accept applications internationally. But it's mainly Australia and Asia Pacific. And they have a category for LinkedIn. And I won Best Use of LinkedIn in 2019. And luckily won again in 2020. So we'll see if I win again this year. But I'm just literally sharing this with you so that you've got a bit of credit. I've got a bit of credibility, and maybe you pay more attention to what I'm about to tell you, because I do believe that this is one of the biggest opportunities it is the biggest opportunity I've come across in my marketing career, but it may be the biggest opportunity we see to grow businesses in our lifetime. These are some of my clients. Again, not trying to show off or boast. I just wanted to show you that I guess there's a bit of a range. You can see some really big companies there, like Western Union and Apple, and you can see some smaller companies there as well, like mortgage brokers and mixed martial arts gyms. So there's a bit of a variety. So it comes down to strategy, really, whether or not this is going to be successful for you. Oh, okay, it's just like looking at the comments here. Hey guys, thanks so much for being proactive. That's awesome. Hey Larry, good to see ya. Susie, what's happening? Yeah, so I really don't like this whole introduction where I have to show off and... Oh, sorry, go back so it won't freeze on you. So do you use social media or does social media use you? This is very important. If we're going to use social media for business, we need to be very deliberate about it. And what I mean by that is when you're on social media, you can either be consuming content or you can be creating content. You can either be on the footy pitch, or if for your international friends, the soccer pitch, the football pitch. You can be on the pitch playing the game, or you can be in the audience watching the game. And what I'm going to encourage you to do is be playing the game. So if you use social media, you will be successful at translating it into return on investment for your business. But if you let social media use you, you're going to waste a lot of time. You'll procrastinate. You'll say yes to things you should say no to. It'll be extremely inefficient. And this is causing a lot of small business owners to burn out right now. And the problem with these social media platforms, if you do let them use you, is they are designed to be addictive. Okay, so if you're getting your human needs met through social media. So what I mean by that is, like, let's picture a small business owner, right? Small business owner, not doing that well in business, really wants to get more clients. So starts using like social media and then puts up a post and like 5 of her friends like it and her mum likes it and she gets a couple of comments. Oh, well done, great post. And she goes back to, look at the business and whether or not she should make phone calls or deal with suppliers or look at the bills she's got to pay. And she's like, oh, no, I kind of like that fuzzy stuff. I like the likes and the comments. And so, it's not long before, like, that's the highlight of her day. And so she's focusing so much on these vanity metrics, like likes and comments, he or she. And it's a massive distraction because what she's using it to procrastinate and not grow a business, or he's using it to procrastinate and not grow his business. And I've fallen into this trap a few times. Enough to be able to go, oh, do you know what? This is actually a really, really important thing to be aware of and to make businesses aware of, that you've got to be proactive. You've got 2 choices. You can be unfocused or you can be focused. And this is what you can expect if you choose to be unfocused. You're going to be reactive. You're not going to be in control. You're unsure of the future. No breathing room. You're flustered, and we all know what it's like, right? If you're on social media and you've got to be on there, but you don't really have a strategy, you like get on in the morning. Oh, I need to do a post today, and you're kind of running out to do a meeting, and then you don't really know what you're doing. So you hop on when you can, and people invite you to connect, and you don't really know whether you should accept or not. So you're just basically being reactive, right? And this is how people end up with a poor quality LinkedIn network, and this is how people end up being in the stadium and not on the pitch. Now, when you're focused, you're proactive, not reactive. You're in control. You're thinking of the long term. So you're not panicking day to day because you need to get an immediate outcome. And this is not just for business owners. This will also work for marketing managers. There's a lot of CEOs putting their marketing managers under the pump. We need to promote this, buy now, like buy tomorrow. And so they're rushing to get these posts out and smashing these calls to action in front of people because they're on the deadline. That's not the way to do social media. Social media is about building a long-term relationship with businesses. So if you're looking for short-term gains, like AdWords is great. You can run Facebook ads. You could run LinkedIn ads. You've got to know what you're doing there. But when it comes to organic content, and this is this is where influence comes from, because even if you sponsor your content, if it doesn't do well organically, it's not going to get amplified. Am I talking too quick? Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the comments. Let me know if I'm talking too quick. I get excited. You're relaxed and calm, which means you make better decisions, right? You're coming from a place of abundance, not from scarcity, and you love taking action. So Has anyone else gone skydiving? I mean, I'm particularly scared of heights, and when I was in the Gold Coast, I decided to jump out of an aeroplane to conquer my fear of skydiving. And you can see that I've had to censor my mouth there because I was yelling out some words that are probably not appropriate for LinkedIn. Now, that guy on the back looks very happy, doesn't he? He had done thousands and thousands of jumps out of the aeroplane and helped lots of people with their first skydive. He actually told me that he even took his dog skydiving, which raised a few eyebrows. But look at it like this, right? When I jumped out of that aeroplane, did I know how to pull my parachute? No. Did I know what height to pull the parachute at? No, I didn't. Did I know where we were going to land? No, I didn't. I didn't know how high we were. I didn't know any of that stuff. And I jumped out of an airplane. And the reason that I survived is because I had this experienced man who knew all the answers to all those questions on my back. And so I want you to look at my role over the next hour or however long we have together as the guy on your back that's going to make sure that we pull the parachute at the right place and we land in the right place and we cover all of the precautionary measures so you don't make any of the mistakes that lead to you falling flat on your face. I hope that makes sense. Okay, speaking of swear words, I won't repeat what's on the screen there, but I did want to share this message with you. Okay, we might word this in a different way. Why don't we say, nobody cares about your content? Now, why might that be true? Well, if you're posting content about what you want to tell people, why should they care about it? That's the question, right? And so, this is a question that we ask a lot of marketing when we look at a webinar or a landing page or we look at a website. I always put myself in the audience's shoes and I ask myself, why should I care about this? And if I have to think about that for more than a few seconds, it's not a good website, it's not a good landing page, it's not good content. So what's in it for the audience is what comes first. And there's a couple of things to be mindful of here because there's content that the audience wants. Like I'm posting valuable content. I don't know why it's not working for me, Nathaniel. I consistently add value. I post really valuable stuff. Everyone says it's really good, and it's not working. People aren't following me. People don't message me and want to buy from me. Okay, so first of all, if that's the scenario, then it's not good content, right? Like the message might be good, but you may not be delivering it in the way that the audience wants to receive it. And so it's about having enough empathy to be able to deliver the content that the audience wants at the time that the audience wants it, depending on where they are in the customer journey. And I'm going to show you how to do this, and delivering it in the way that they want as well. And I'm also going to show you how to do that. It's about content and context. So the way that you deliver stuff on LinkedIn is different to the way you deliver stuff on YouTube. Big mistake that a lot of marketers make is they use social media as distribution. So they publish a blog post and then they're like, okay, now we distribute it through all our social media channels. We distribute it on Facebook. We just share it on LinkedIn. We share it on Instagram. And hopefully everyone will just go back to our blog post. They're distributing links through these platforms, but it's not a distribution channel. It's a social media site. It's a place where people want to hang out. So if you're the person that actually goes onto each platform to communicate contextually on the platform where they've chosen to hang out in the way that they want to consume content, you nail social media. Absolutely nail it. But you've got to stop trying to get people to do what you want them to do and start giving people what they want. I'm getting a bit fired up here, aren't I? Should come visit Cape Town. Hell yeah. Hey Stuart, how are you? Well paced. I can speed up if you want. Strategy. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Most people where they don't understand something, they tend to do this. And this is a couple of things to mention here. We, as human beings, we have to be aware of our unconscious biases. And so we have a bias, first of all, to what has worked in the past. So the longer that you've been doing something that's working, the harder it is for you to change and do something new, which makes it very difficult at the moment because things are changing so fast. You need to be changing really quickly. I interviewed a 21-year-old fitness coach last night on my series Monday Night Live, who's actually killing it at the moment in an industry where most of the fitness coaches and personal trainers and so on are finding it very difficult to get work with, people working remotely and stuff. And because she just started and she didn't know any different, she's like, oh, well, I just coach them over the internet. And, she's got 14,000 LinkedIn followers, but she didn't have that bias to what has worked in the past. She's just like, oh, well, people are working from home, I'll do it like this. So it makes it a bit easier, but it doesn't mean that, people that are older can't learn social media just as easily as young people. They just got to get over these biases and understand that things have changed and not stick their head in the sand or feel like stupid or feel judged or want to judge people because it's easier than learning something new. I am going down to the wine area of West Australia on Friday morning, and last time I went down was a year ago, I believe, and I saw a cow. This is not the cow I saw. This one's off Google, right? We were driving past these cows, and I was like, oh yeah, I haven't seen a cow in a while. But I didn't stop and take a photograph, right? Because I've seen cows before. But if I saw a cow that looked like this, and if your screen's not making it clear, this cow is purple, then I may have stopped and taken the photo. Now you may understand the reference, you may not, but Seth Godin, incredible marketer, one of the best marketers in history, wrote a book called Purple Cow, and this is the concept that I wanted to share with you. Like this concept that Seth came up with, incredible marketer. He says, if you want to capture attention, you've got to have a purple cow in your business, something that's remarkable enough for people to stop, pay attention, and then tell their friends about it. That's how you build a remarkable business. And I think with content marketing, because it's driving conversations, we need to have conversation starters in our business. We need triggers that will start, get people talking about your brand. So if I asked everybody who's on the webinar today, who's the best in their industry at what they do, and get them to tell me, and who charges what they're worth, and who feels like they're really successful with social media. If I got all those people, let's say out of 100, does 10 people fit all that criteria? And then I said to those 10 people, what's your unique value proposition? I guarantee you that all 10 of them will be able to give me a succinct, fast answer. Because these days, having a unique value proposition defined is an essential part of being successful. Because if you don't know why your client should buy from you and not somebody else, how the hell, of course, almost swore there, how the hell are your customers going to know if you don't know? You've got to make it really clear what makes you different, okay? And I'm not saying that you have to get your hair dyed purple. That's not what I'm saying at all. But it needs to be something remarkable enough for people to talk about. And I'll give you some ideas shortly. The mere exposure effect is very important to understand when it comes to social media marketing. The mere exposure effect is a psychological phenomenon by which people tend to develop a preference for things merely because they are familiar with them. So in social psychology, this effect is sometimes called the familiarity principle. So I use the analogy of 20 years ago, if you wanted to buy a soft drink and you saw 25 billboards of Coca-Cola over the past week and you didn't see any of Pepsi, you're more likely to buy Coca-Cola over Pepsi because you're more familiar with them. Therefore, you trust them more. It feels like a safer investment, all things being equal. these days we need so many exposures in front of our target audience in order to build that familiarity, but just because they're getting so many messages, right? We all know this. Like, we're getting messages everywhere. This device is always going bananas, and so you need to show up more times, more regularly. Repetition is very important. Okay, so let's say you need 25 exposures. I think that's a statistic that Kerwin Ray told me. 25 exposures generally in front of a business or a potential customer for them to be familiar enough with you to want to buy you over the next service provider. Okay, now, very important to understand that you can mess this up, because if you give 25 exposures, impressions with a potential customer, and every single time you do that, you're like, come off of the platform and look at my blog post, come and buy my stuff, me. Real estate agents, got a new listing, it's me, right? You're gonna build negative brand sentiment. They're gonna be like, I don't want to see another exposure from this brand, right? But if you deliver value, and I'm going to show you how to do this, they'll want to hear from you. They'll expect to hear from you. And even better than that, you'll have permission to contact them, right? And so that'll build likability and trust. And so after those 25 exposures have happened, while everyone else is messing it up and giving them calls to action or not even doing anything at all, the client's not looking anywhere else. You've helped them down the customer journey. You've delivered value. They trust you. They like you. They want to hear from you. They're not buying from anyone else. You've won social media. Mere exposure effect. When I was a teenager, my friends, they used to like to go fishing. And I really didn't like fishing that much. I didn't really see the point. I just went along because, most of my friends wanted to hang out with them on the weekends, and on the water we had a couple of beers, and I would kind of try and put the bait on the hook, and I would just sort of throw it in wherever. Quite often the bait would fly off the hook, and I would kind of just put the rod down and have a beer. So I wasn't really paying much attention, right? Now here's the question: was I fishing? Yes, I was fishing. But was I going to catch anything? Probably not. Why not? Well, I wasn't giving the fish anything they wanted, right? Like, half the time the bait wasn't even on the hook. I wasn't necessarily throwing it in the right place. I wasn't holding it the right way. I wasn't doing anything that would make the fish want to consume the bait from me and for me to be able to catch a fish. So yes, I was fishing. But I think, right, that a lot of us are doing content marketing, but we're not necessarily going to be catching any fish. So just because you're doing content marketing, you're posting, does not necessarily mean that you're going to nail social media. It's very important that it's an ecosystem, because like if you post 100 times a day, like I've heard Gary Vee say, post 100 times a day, like there's no shortage of content. Like, I mean, do we need another 100 pieces of content today? Probably not. Like, there's enough content out there. Somebody's got to be paying for it. There has to be a transaction at some point with the customer. So there needs to be moving people down the customer journey. So you can't just be like creating content to get vanity metrics. Like, those things are very, very good indicators if it's the right people that are doing it and it's moving down the customer journey. But it's very important that you get this structure right and not just focus on one part. And it may not be that part, but you catch my drift. Like, it has to be an ecosystem. Influence. Just gonna, guys, you gotta get active in the comments. Keep up the activity. I hope you've been sharing the live. Oh, dump value into LinkedIn. Yeah, thank you. Legends. Thanks so much for all your comments. Susie's interested in the sales cycle. Can you elaborate a little bit while I'm jumping through some of this content, Susie? Because I will touch on that. Customer journey. So awareness, interest, decision, action. If you're posting organic content on LinkedIn, and by organic, I mean you're not paying for ads, right? If you're posting organic content on LinkedIn, you need to cater for the awareness stage. The awareness stage. Why? Because most people, right, in your network or following stuff that you're posting about, most of them, are they going to be looking to buy a solution that you offer today? Most of them aren't, right? They're going to be those are going to be the people down the bottom, the action and the decision people. The people that have an interest, they've identified they have the problem and they're looking at for information, right? And so that's going to be it's going to be more people, but it's still going to be like less than like, I don't know, might be 10% if you're lucky, right, of your audience. Whereas the awareness stage are people that don't necessarily have an awareness that they have the problem yet. But it's your job as a content creator to help them find that problem. Because if you help them find the problem, you're the expert. You're like the doctor of content, right? And so you'll engage way more people, a way higher percentage of your audience if you cater for the awareness stage with your organic content. And then you can offer them ways to like get into like other content. The great way to do this is through a lead magnet, and you could write an article and it could be quite it could be suitable for the awareness stage. And there's something like the five biggest mistakes that businesses make with their social media is suitable for the awareness, because like people want to know about mistakes because they might be making some of them. And so if they are, then they'll be like, oh, okay, I've identified a problem. And then at the end of the article, you could have, hey, by the way, guys, if you actually want to know how to generate leads on social media properly, why don't you download my guide to generating leads on social media? You could either give the link, or you could say, if you want a copy, drop in the comments and write yes please, and I'll private message you a copy. That way you're getting lots of comments, and you can private message them the ebook. You get their email address, and then they go through that content, and maybe you offer a follow-up call. But it's you're moving them up I have this thing called the engagement ladder, right? The engagement ladder, like just picture a ladder, right? And imagine at the bottom of the ladder is somebody like connects with you. And then maybe the next step in the ladder is somebody likes one of your posts. And then maybe the next step is you like one of their posts. And then maybe it's like you comment on one of those posts. Maybe you message each other. Maybe you have a phone conversation. Maybe you do a proposal. But you can see how all these touch points, you're moving them up the engagement ladder. And so, it might take somebody 2 years to get to the top of the engagement ladder. It might take them 2 weeks. But the point is, the customer's deciding these days how they move up the customer journey. So you just got to be able to facilitate that growth. Oh, Rashesh, it's been years, hasn't it, since we've seen each other? Where did I get my t-shirt? Oh, top secret. Oh, Sue, how you doing? Top secret. It's got off the internet. The internet. Love the analogy. Thank you, Karen. I got 17,000 views, but 50 likes. That's cool. Why this happens on LinkedIn? Oh, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Who are these views from? Like, this is the thing, Cigar. What kind of business are you in? Who's your target market? Are the people that are watching it and are liking it, are they in your target market? We really need to understand that before we can work out whether or not these numbers mean anything. And how to avoid them, right? Yeah. Well, I mean, you could just tell the mistakes in the awareness stage, and then you could be like, okay, now if you want to know how to avoid them. But I mean, high level stuff. People always going to identify with mistakes. Everyone has a tendency. Human beings, we're all the same. Just because I'm talking about it doesn't mean I'm any different. Just conscious of it. But people like a bit of gossip and mistakes. Oh, you're doing it wrong. How the hell did you think that the people that are doing it right learned? No one taught that. We just failed quicker than anyone else. But Jesus. Anyway, it's crazy how people judgmental of those making mistakes. Very empathetic. I think on LinkedIn, it was a recruitment site. So Of course, people are going to be making mistakes when it comes to sales and marketing. Okay, just quickly on storytelling, guys. So we spend half of our time while we're awake either crafting stories. Half of our time crafting stories, creating stories. Just even if we're on the internet, just talking to the postman, talking to family. We're creating stories all the time, and the rest of the time we're consuming stories. That's all we do. Things never stops, right? And so neuroscience, when it comes to content marketing, if you can release dopamine, oxytocin, I'm forgetting one now, oxytocin, dopamine, and endorphins, these are positive brain chemicals that will make people trust you more, like you more. They'll be more open to feedback. They'll be more creative. They're more relaxed. They're happier. They're more loving. They're more caring, right? These are good states for your prospects to be in when they're consuming your content. Okay? Yeah, and the way that you create these brain chemicals is through stories, because people relate to stuff that resonates with them on a personal level. So you've got to ask yourself, is this going to resonate with anyone on a personal level? I don't care how complicated or technical your business is. There is human beings. There's not machines that are consuming your content. Use stories. You notice I've used a lot of analogies today, but the truth is, if I don't use the analogies, it's unlikely that anyone's going to remember half the things I've talked about. Because when the emotions are felt or the brain chemicals are released, it's people, because we don't remember memories, we remember the emotion we felt. That's how we remember stuff. That's why emotional trauma, big emotional events in your life, like, I don't know, getting married or having a baby, you remember them because there's big emotional attachment. Story activates part of the brain that allows the listener to turn the story into their own ideas. So metaphors are great for this. You can let them make up their own understanding of what it means, and this creates neural coupling, and this is how you build rapport. Listeners will not only experience a similar brain activity to the speaker, but they may even start matching and mirroring the actions that you're doing. So this would apply to in person. I'm not sure if this would work virtually. I guess it would. But definitely in person, you'll notice they'll start following you, how you sit and where you put your hands and stuff like that. You can have a bit of fun with it. If you get this neurocoupling thing done, they'll be mirroring a lot of your actions. The brain releases dopamine into the system when it experiences an emotionally charged event, making it easier to remember and with greater accuracy. This is science. Isn't this great? Content marketing based on science. Cortex activity. When processing facts, 2 areas of the brain are activated. I can't pronounce those. Broca's and... yeah, so anyway, you just engage a lot more of the brain when you use storytelling. And so, just on that storytelling, by the way, we all have stories. A lot of us don't think that, we don't have stories, but we all do. And it's just getting in the habit of being able to, apply the right story to the right. So the best way to start is just to start with your business. So if you work for the business, come up with a story, and it's not I don't mean make it up. I just mean think about why you joined the company. What problem were you trying to solve when you joined the company? What inspired you about joining the company? And then is there a moment that you experienced that where you felt some emotion which you could share? So, I started my own business when I was... the emotion that I felt was desperation. I was broke. My electricity was cut out. A lot of people in the audience will know the story if they've been following any of my content. And so that's, it took me a while to have the confidence to share that, be vulnerable. But that's an emotionally charged event. A lot of people can relate to it. A lot of people don't talk about this stuff. So that works really well. But if you're working for another company, it could be as simple as if you're a real estate agent, my job as a real estate agent is to focus on the needs of my customers. And so it's really important to me that the company that I choose to partner with has the best reputation, that has the best standard of service, that cares about their clients, they share my values. And so when I met the XYZ real estate agency, and you can see how a story could start to evolve, and then people will trust you more, and then you'll start to get in the habit of how you can use stories all the time, and your content will just go bananas because of it. There's only 3 ways to grow a business. If there's any, if anyone knows any other ways, let me know. I guess raising capital is the one that's quite popular these days. Number 1, to get more clients. Number 2, increase your transaction size. And number 3, get people to buy more often. Okay, now traditional marketing methods would generally just focus on more clients. Like I was always focused on more clients. It was a big mistake I made early on in my career and started my business. But let's have a look at what happens if you can impact all 3. So if you've got 12 clients, small business, average sales $10,000, and they buy twice per year. Your average for the annum is 240 grand. Okay, now if you were running this business and you really thought about it, do you think you could increase your number of clients from 12 to 16? Like if you really put your mind to it, in a year, 4 more clients. It's possible, isn't it? It's not a big, like it's not a huge number of more than you had. And they don't have to be new. Like you could be retaining, some of these 12. Now, your average sale goes from $10,000 to $12,000. So could you add a little bit more value? You got another experience and make the average sale just a little bit more. And then they buy from you 1 more time every 2 years. Okay, so half of a point, if you like. Okay, so that, even though they're just incremental increases in 3 areas, doubles your revenue, just under $500,000. Now you do it again, you get to $1 million or $960,000. And so this is the way to grow businesses at a rate that allows you to jump from say 250 grand to $1 million in a couple of years, and then you can do it again. That's how you get from $1 million to 10 million. And I'm suggesting that social media allows you to impact all 3 of these areas. So yes, you can impact number of clients through Google advertising and radio ads and the rest of it. But if you're posting content, right, and you're communicating with your audience at scale, like they're probably going to buy from you more. Like you're going to have a better relationship with them. You're probably going to understand what they need more. So you're probably going to come up with more products anyway. The average sale will go up because you'll have less competition and you're positioned as a thought leader, and they'll see you as the expert. You can kind of charge what you want. These are very conservative figures when you think about it. Over a year, you could build a huge audience on social media, and you could be doubling your average sale. You could be doubling your number of clients, and you could be doubling the frequency. And so you would in that scenario, you'd have a $10 million business in a couple of years. If your business is not growing, it's dying. And this is happening more and more. I hate to say it, but I think a lot of businesses are going to be going under, not a result of the pandemic, just not being able to pivot fast enough, and they think it's okay just to sit stagnant. If it's not growing, it's dying, because while you're not growing, your competitors are. Like if they're, it's naive to think that you're the best at what you do, and there's nobody out there that's not trying just as hard as you to take market share. And if they do a better job, they're going to take market share. Innovation and marketing is the 2 most important things in business. And, the statistics back this up. Like, across the board, whether it's US, Australia, or England, 90% of businesses fail within 5 to 10 years. 90%, ladies and gentlemen, of businesses fail within 5 to 10 years. So, this is very important, because, this is very obvious, but how many of us do this? So, this is what I want to say. So if 90% of businesses fail within 5 to 10 years, if you're doing what everyone else is doing, you're in trouble, right? You're in big trouble. So you're going to be doing what the 5% or the 10% are doing. If you even want to survive, like even the businesses that survive, that most of them aren't profitable. Very few of them are profitable. So it's actually the ones that are doing things differently that are the ones that survive and make it in this business world. You might grow a big audience on social media, but if you want to grow a business, you've got to be doing things differently than the masses. It comes back to adding value. There's 4 ways you can do it. Sorry for skipping through a couple of these slides. I'm not just conscious of time, and I want to make sure that I get through the 4 ways to add value through content. Okay, information, inspiration, entertainment, and education. On LinkedIn, we see a lot of information and we see a lot of education, actually. Education is quite good on LinkedIn. So going back to the 90% of businesses failing within 5 to 10 years, what are the 2 areas, do you think, that would crush it on LinkedIn? See, like a lot of us would think, like you kind of think intuitively because you see it on LinkedIn, information and education would do well because that's what you see on LinkedIn. So you're like, oh, that's the appropriate content for LinkedIn. But inspiration and entertainment, because there's less of it, it actually will be more effective. Like if an entertainer came onto LinkedIn, he would kill it. If it was good. And all these YouTube content creators are very creative. Like they're great storytellers. It's very competitive. YouTube has some great content creators. It amazes me that none of them are posting on LinkedIn. Absolutely amazes me. They would do so well. There's so much talent there that hasn't even tapped into the platform. So, we're able to create very entertaining posts, inspirational posts with no experience. Wouldn't be able to do it on YouTube because there's no competition. And so I just would be thinking about ways to do that, guys. In terms of hacking attention, entertainment's a great way to do it. Inspiration's a great way to share stories. Okay, your solution has no value without the problem that it solves. So if somebody does not have the problem that you solve, your solution's not very valuable to them. The bigger the problem they have that you can solve, the more valuable your solution is to them. The big mistake that businesses make with their marketing and their copywriting and their content marketing and even just talking to customers is they tell the customer all about the solution. So they're not, when they do that, unless the customer is very, very acutely aware of what their problem is and how big it is, they're not actually building the value of their solution. The way to build the value of your solution is to build the problem that it solves. And so in a sales scenario, you'd be like, oh, so you told me you're looking for a website. Why is it that you need a website? Oh, you don't have a website at the moment. Oh, geez, that must be costing you a lot of sleepless nights. Do you have a Facebook page? Oh yeah. Do you do any other marketing? So you're asking questions that uncover the problem, but actually make the problem bigger than it is. Not bigger than it seems, it's actually bigger than the customer realizes. And so when you do that, when you have the ability to be able to ask questions that identify the problem, and then the customer's like, oh wow, yeah, geez, this problem is bigger than I thought it was, they see you as the expert because you help them to realize that, And this is the thing that I want everybody to understand, because if a customer has the problem that you solve and knows that they have the problem, and they know that the problem has got a lot of value or it's costing them a lot, they want to buy from you. They'll be chasing you. They want to buy from you. Everybody who has a problem wants to solve it. Every business that has a problem wants to solve it. If you have the solution, they'll want to buy it. If you help them identify that problem, they'll want to buy from you. And you can do this through content. Everyone's talking about solutions and they just come across as salespeople. If you talk about the problem and you can define the problem better than your prospect can, they will automatically assume that you have a solution. Automatically, psychologically. This is why the mistakes work so well. Are you making this mistake on LinkedIn? You'll see me post about these things all the time. So the biggest mistake you can make on LinkedIn is uploading a version of your resume. Like if you're trying to get leads or sales, it's great if you're looking for a job, but if you're trying to get customers, it's one of the most boring pieces of content that you could possibly provide a potential customer, right? And then if I'd posted that in a video talking about that, people who have either made that mistake, identified with that mistake, seen other people made that mistake, started commenting, going, yeah. Like, yeah, totally, Nathaniel, that's 100% right. I haven't told them anything about my solution. I've only talked about the problem. But I've built value in what I do, and I've built intrigue, and then I get the private messages. Most of the time, the successful pieces of content are not the ones that get the most likes and comments. They're the ones that you get the most private messages from. Okay. So one of the things that you'll find as well, like when you're doing content, is that there are things that'll come up that you realize are like roadblocks in the customer journey, you know? And one of the things is like marketing managers are like tasked to find service providers like LinkedIn trainers or LinkedIn experts. But then they have trouble going back to the board or the CEO to then, you know, relay the value and get them to put the budget into it. And so when you come across problems like this, you can immediately use it in your content marketing to create content that solves that problem, that solves the roadblock in the customer journey. So like I just created an 18-page slide deck in 2019, which is what B2B companies need to know about LinkedIn. And so that way I've given the resource to the marketing manager to go back to the CEO with and share these statistics. Because as soon as they understand the statistics, they understand how much LinkedIn's growing by, how big the database is, how much money that the organization has, and how much people are how much more people are spending time on there each year, 30% every year. You know, we're spending 3 times more time on the platform than we were 2 years ago. You know, 3 times more time. You know, so the attention is there. Algorithm's getting smarter. The algorithm's still getting huge organic reach. It's a no-brainer once the CEO understands the statistics, and so you give them to them, and you can use the same in your business. You're gonna have different problems, right, to solve. One of the reasons I wanted to share this particular caption is just because of the way that I've spaced it out. You want to structure your content so it's suitable for mobile devices. If people lose their place when they're reading your post, they're just going to leave. Like, their attention span's too short. So space it out with short sentences and start with something that people can agree with. Human beings like to play the comparison game. Oh yeah, I can agree with that. I want to know more. So I'm building curiosity, building intrigue, which makes people read the caption. You know, on Instagram, we get the image first. Images, you know, got to capture the attention. Whereas on LinkedIn is the caption is quite important. People won't necessarily watch your video unless the caption's compelling. Context. Gary V, if content is king, context is God. Bless him. By context, I don't know if it's 100% clear what that means, but it just means communicating in the way that people want to consume content on the platform. So you just got to think of, you know, LinkedIn versus, you know, Instagram or Facebook. You just got to do it differently on each platform. So you got to learn the nuances, and you got to learn when people are active on LinkedIn. Like the most active day is Wednesday. You know, my audience, I find we get best results if I post on Monday morning, and you know, Instagram is the evening and the weekend, so it's different. This has changed. The average session lasts 18 minutes now. It's tripled. 57%, that's increased to 70% now. LinkedIn traffic comes from mobile devices. Audio off. So you need to have subtitles on your videos. Be remarkable. Okay, so lots more content for more people with inexperienced content creators means that we're all about to be buried in crap. We don't need more content. We don't need it. We just don't need more content. What we really need and what buyers are desperate for is good quality content. Good quality content that is communicated contextually for the platform. That's the game. That's the game. If you can help people move through the customer journey, they will buy from you. That's the way it works. So how do you create remarkable content? You've got to start with the visual receptors, because we can digest an image like in milliseconds, and it's going to take us a lot longer with words. So you start with the eyes. You've got to appeal to the eyes. So design becomes important, and colors. This is why a lot of people will put like faces in their in their content or the pictures or their videos, because since we're babies, we're trained to look at the eyes, right? So it draws people's attention. Reactions draw people's attention. Like if you see a picture and I'm like looking at my phone, I'm like, what's that? You're like, what is he reacting to? 50% of your brain is involved in visual processing. 70% of all your sensory receptors are in your eyes. 70%! Isn't that remarkable? 0.01 seconds we can get a sense of a visual scene. Less than 10th of a second. What's more important, likes or views? It's, they go hand in hand. Comments are more important. Likes, I would go with. They gotta be authentic likes from the right people. So it's hard. It's a hard one to answer. I can't answer that one because glass pyramid is similar to Maslow's. Yeah, it is. It is similar. You're right. I like reluctant energy. You have a good image or something for a long time. Do you have a link to the post? Which one are we talking about here? Sorry, I'll have to go back and when I watch a replay, I'll give you the link for sure. Doesn't mean you would use a combination of posts, articles, stories, and things like polls. Yeah, LinkedIn have actually publicly said that they prefer content creators that use a mix of different types of mediums, and so I definitely mix it up, and this is because there's been a couple of creators on the platform that have hacked like one method of posting, whether it's just images and text, and not doing the other stuff, and so that's can be seen as algorithm manipulation, and therefore they want you to be doing everything. Comments, engagement is everything. Yeah, look, it is, but just be mindful of engagement pods. I see a lot of people making use of engagement pods. I don't have a problem with the whole concept per se, but well, yeah, I found that it can work against you because you get all this activity and it seems like you're getting a lot of traction, but if you're not engaging your potential customers and they're not transitioning into buying from you, that's a disconnect. If you're not getting return on investment, it's a big problem. It can be a massive distraction to serve these people that are engaging with your content, not because of the content, not because of the value you're providing through the content. You are providing value, but you're doing it through engaging on their content. I don't think that's a great way to get engagement. That's the only thing I'll say on that. There's lots of other ways that you can get engagement fast from relevant people. And you could have a small pod for I don't know, something relevant, like company or I don't know. But I would just be mindful of creating all this influence, because I see a lot of these guys that have created all this influence on there, and they're really nice guys. Just having the content's okay, but it just doesn't cater for anyone specific because they haven't actually had a chance to get the feedback. Because they've been members of pods and stuff, and so they get to these massive audiences, but they just don't know how to pay the rent. So they're trying to come up with things they can offer the market, and quite often they can only offer what the influence that they created and stuff. So you got to do the hard yards. Stuart Little, we've met, haven't we? You look very familiar, very familiar. Appeal to the mind. Rock solid content is easy to absorb. So what I mean by this is sometimes it's good to create intrigue and novelty, but you don't want to do it too much. People want a little bit of intrigue and novelty, but they also want stuff that they can understand quite easily and agree with. So rock solid content that people that won't necessarily need to argue with. It doesn't need to be too out there. You give a little bit of intrigue and novelty, but at the end of the day, people when they're making B2B business decisions, they're oh yeah, LinkedIn's new. We're doing the video stuff. It's a bit novel now. So we can make the decision. Show me how it's everything we understand, right? They don't want it too novel. So appeal to the mind. You've got to back it up with logic. So they make decisions with emotion. Back it up with logic. And if you tell a story that touches on common human experiences and emotions, your content goes from the eyes and the mind to the heart, and it's remembered. And it will stay there, and it will be remembered. So that's the 3 steps to remarkable content. Okay, now, step 6 of the 7 steps of LinkedIn influence is to stop selling. Closing, always be closing. You don't want to sell to somebody that doesn't have the problem that you solve. My friend Gary Vaynerchuk, who wrote Crush It and Jab, Right Hook, I think it is. So if he wrote that book today, I would argue that he would probably agree with me that book would probably be called something different. It wouldn't be called Jab, Right Hook. It would be called Jab, 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 maybe Right Hook. That would be the title of the book. Because you need to be adding so much value these days. Like, you can't do the right hook as often. So the analogy is, right, so a jab is like adding value, giving, and then the right hook is like asking for them to do something. Like, so it's like, okay, here's 3 tips to optimize your profile. Here's 5 ways you can tell stories. Bang, buy from me, right? Obviously do it a bit more tastefully than that, but like it kind of works, but when you do that right hook, you've got to be really careful that you're not ruining the relationship. I feel like you got to do the right hook at the right time. Quite often, if you jab beautifully enough, no right hook required. Knock the opponent over with your jab. Casey Wiggins won a competition. They were doing a promotion for Taken 3, and Liam Neeson, is that how you pronounce that? Yeah, Liam Neeson, the main actor from Taken, offered to to film a profile video for somebody on LinkedIn, and he did that. Am I able to play it for you? No, I'm not. So you guys have got to check this out. It's on my YouTube channel. Check out my YouTube channel and Liam Neeson on Taken and stuff. But he's basically like, it's very similar to like a movie trailer, and he's like highlighting like different skills that he has and stuff, and very compelling, like very entertaining. But hang on, this is important, right? That gets a lot of attention, got a lot of views, went viral. But is that good for his brand? Is that good for business, right? Not necessarily, because that's not enough. Like, it's not enough to make people transact with you. It's enough to get their attention. But like, if you get attention and then you don't build trust, you lose the attention. You've got to get more attention all the time. Attention and trust. So like, if you build attention block, and then you build trust, you don't lose the attention, right? Then you build more attention, build trust, you don't lose the attention. That's how you build an audience on social media. How do you create content about a brand that isn't about your brand? Okay, yeah, I was talking about the problem that you solve. Great way to create content, by the way, is questions and answers. It makes you look like an industry authority when you do this. It's crazy to me that people doing speaking events and they don't film them. I always take a videographer. Always. Okay, so this video, like I just showed you some jabs. Not getting leads from your profile. Bang, identify the problem. Most people can see the profiles getting views, but they're not getting leads. So say something like, people on LinkedIn are just trying to sell me stuff, right? Then I've given them a hook. So if you want a copy of my 18-step profile optimization checklist that we use, just comment below with checklist and I'll get it sent over to you. There's so much opportunity on the platform right now. So if people write checklist, and then what I would do is send them the link, so they would go to my lead magnet, opt in, go into my email funnel, and that's basically the way that I've converted leads off of. And it's a great way as well to get people to send you a connection request, because we've got a limit on how many connection requests we can send. Isn't it better that they send you the connection request instead of you sending them, because they've got a limitation now? Right hook, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Knocked out cold. That is a content marketing killer bee. Stop selling, start helping. People want to buy. They just don't want to be sold to. So just help them buy. Step number 7's got to be monetized. If you're not monetizing it, it's not going to last. We kind of covered this at the start. I want to just repeat this, but social media creates conversations. Conversations create relationships. Relationships create results. If your LinkedIn marketing content's not working, it's probably because you need to just revisit this quote. In summary, strategy, attention, influence, add value, be remarkable. Stop selling and monetize. Guys, drop in the comments, just let me know if you've got value from today's session so far. We're not quite finished. What I'm going to do is I'm about to tell you about my new online training course. This is not a sales pitch. It is just a bit of information about an opportunity. So welcome to tune in for the next 5 minutes and hear about it. But by all means, don't have to stick around if you're not interested in my LinkedIn training course. But yeah, stick around, guys, if you are interested, and I'll tell you all about LinkedIn Insider 2.0. This is the second version of LinkedIn Insider, which has been updated for 2021. We focus on these 5 key areas: profile, network, leads, sales, and content. I've just got tons of like tutorials, checklists, and templates in each of these sections that you go through in a sequential order. So that by the end of it, you're just the man on LinkedIn. Like you're crushing it. I'm not going to say you're a LinkedIn ninja or a LinkedIn guru. This is where, like, if you think what I've been talking about makes sense, this is where you go to actually learn the practicalities of how to implement some of this stuff. Because there's nothing worse than going to a training session and you walk away and go, oh yeah, I learned a lot of stuff, and you just don't do anything. And that's what happens with most training sessions. I think the objective of them face to face, if it's delivered that way, because you can revisit stuff and you can do it in staged approach and you can implement as you go. And I've built the course to facilitate that. Normally this training, I only do it with corporates because they're the ones that have got the budget to pay $10,000 for me to come in for a full day and train their team. And when I created LinkedIn Insider the first time, it was because I wanted to solve the problem. And the problem I want to solve I wanted to give this training to the people that need it the most, which are the small business owners and the sales professionals. Those are the 2 main markets that I really wanted to help. And the problem with just doing it through content is because I'm always catering for that awareness stage, I'm not able to get into the details and step by step and frameworks that I can do in the training that I do with the corporates. And so I decided to take all of the training that I would do and say like a 2-day program is my most advanced program for LinkedIn training, and put it into an online course that's easy to digest. And of course, like 3-4 years later, so much has changed on LinkedIn. We needed to refresh it, so we've got all up-to-date content. I've just finished our lesson, and within that lesson there are various topics on LinkedIn events, on how to use LinkedIn events. It's amazing what you can do on there at the moment, and no one's taking advantage of it. Things like LinkedIn polls, LinkedIn advertising, all the new functionality. So if you are interested in joining LinkedIn Insider for the next 3 hours, you can get 15% off by using this promo code, GET15OFF. All you have to do is go to nathanielbibby.com, and you should be able to find the LinkedIn Insider 2.0 course in there. And I really look forward to hearing what you think of it. I'm still actually like open to feedback and to adding to the course. So if you do have any ideas of what would make it even better than what it already is, the incredible course that it already is, then by all means do let me know. But yeah, all right. Well, I wanted to give you the option to take things further if you're serious about growing your LinkedIn. I'm going to stop sharing this and just see if there are any questions. Oh, look at all the people buying in the comments. I should have one of those, you know, those webinars where they're like, or even websites where they're like, Jeff from New York just bought, Tony from bought. I was always curious, like, brands like really seriously, like, you know, just putting these things on there. And so I realized, like, I looked into it, what they do. This is just interesting. Is they can share, people buying from the start of when they did sales. So if they've been selling for like 4 years, right? You just get onto the website today. It's like start showing you like people from like 4 years ago that have bought. Like, oh, you know, Ryan just bought, but he may have, you know, bought 9 months. So it just looks like there's a lot of activity. So there's all these ways that manipulate people buying and stuff. At the end of the day, if you got value, I think you'd be crazy not to sign up to LinkedIn Insider 2.0. It's cheap as chips, especially with that 15% off. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. If you got value, please share it with your friends. And I hope to see you soon on the next webinar. We've got Monday Night Live's probably the next online event. 6 p.m. Perth time, 8 p.m. Sydney and Melbourne time. Take care, my friends. That's all from me.